This video is for the over 5 million people who lost a lot from Sue. Some that don't even know how much they lost. So this video is to inform you, and this video is to let people know the truth about what really happened with Sue. So first off, what was Sue? Sue was a social network that was just like Facebook, except it had one exception, and that was that it shared its advertising revenue with its users. 90%. Facebook doesn't share any of its revenue. It keeps it all under a model that some have called freeism, where billions of people do tons of work and a handful of people reap all of the economic gain. And Sue, like others, was trying to change that. So they said, you create the content, you do all the work, we're going to give you 90%. We're going to share 90% of our wealth. In hindsight, that probably wasn't a good idea because it does cost money to run a company, and you have no idea what you're going to come up against. And Sue had no idea what they were going to come up against. And they fought a battle silently rather than bringing us in and letting us know what was going on, because our numbers were large enough to be able to stop it. So Sue disappeared, and the only thing that was left was rumors. And I have inside information that will let everyone know what actually happened. But first I want to share a speech with you by John F. Kennedy, the speech that got him killed. And they say in that speech that he used words that were too big for most people to understand, and I can see that. So I'm going to translate that so that everyone can understand. Because this speech reads like a prophecy today. And while it wasn't a prophecy, everyone watching this, listening to this, would look at this and go, wow, this is what's happening today. Yes, because he was killed. But it wasn't prophecy, it was inside information.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
Now I want to stop right there and explain to you that what he's saying is that what we are being told today, why Julian Assange is locked up, while different whistleblowers are put in jail, while the world screams that we need to stop these leaks, what he is saying is that we decided back then that what we're doing today is wrong, that it's wrong, that the people have a right to privacy, the government has no right to privacy. That's what he's saying. But that's not what's happening today because he was killed.
Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
So he meant to prevent all of what's going on today with all the power that he had, but he was silenced. And later his Another family member intended to continue his mission, and he was also silenced.
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes.
So what are they doing right now on social networks, on medias, all over the place? They're trying to censor the news. They're trying to say what you can say and what you can't say on social media. And social media is what? Social people. It's what we want to say. It's what we want to say. The people, what the people want to say. But that is what they're doing, and that is what they're trying to stop, is us from being able to do that, from the truth from being able to get out.
To withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No.
And he was silenced. And as you can see, all of this stuff is what's going on today. People are being silenced. People are being killed. People are being imprisoned. For doing what? For exposing what our nation, I say ours, but I understand that people listening to this aren't all American. But what I'm saying is what he is saying, that they were opposed to what is going on right now today. Notice how he used the word conspiracy. Certain words have been changed in the minds of people because people no longer think anymore. You throw the word conspiracy theory, the media uses it all the time, conspiracy theory. So when people hear that, oh, we shouldn't listen, that means it isn't true. And this is what people think the word conspiracy theory is. And that's not what it means. A conspiracy is people conspiring together, one or more people conspiring together, working together to do something. And this is the former president of the United States. Is he a lunatic? Is he a tinfoil hat wearer, as they have brainwashed everyone into believing? And can the fact that he was murdered not lend some credibility to what he was saying? And can the fact that all these things that he is saying are going on in commonplace today? In fact, we are at war with so many countries because their claim is that they're letting information out that they don't want out. Monolithic means one. What he's saying is a vast and global conspiracy. So, and that is exactly what's happening today. At one time, the internet was free. The internet was created so that humanity could advance, so that we could share information. But after a short time, the powers that be, the shadow governments, the deep states decided that was not a good idea. And they turned it into something else. They turned it into what television and radio and music was before, a way to brainwash the masses. And they've done it in such a way that it actually works amazingly well. They have things like likes, comments, views, and through that, just that alone, you can control the masses. For example, if most people see something that has very few views, very few likes, very few comments, then they look at that and they go, well, there's just too much information out there. There's nothing to see here because no one else was interested. And through that, you can control the information. And if you Google this, or you go to a search engine and you look it up, you will find people complaining about why their videos don't have the views showing that they should. The number of views that they know it has, why aren't they showing? And again, that's how you can control what people see. And that's the world that we live in now. And because people don't think anymore, they just assume, well, this can't be true. She must be nuts. Was he nuts? When you look at these people trying to expose this stuff and go, it's a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory person. Was he a tinfoil hat conspiracy person? Wouldn't the fact that he was killed? Think about the fact that he was killed. How many presidents or leaders or kings have ever been killed throughout history? You know, one time, not too long ago, I looked in the back window of my car and I saw the president of the country that I'm in. And he wasn't surrounded with cars. He was in the car directly behind me. I could see his face. Now, there were police off to the sides or something like that, but if I wanted to, it wouldn't have been hard for me to do something. But this man was actually killed, and that was not some lone gunman, some lunatic that did it. And what he's trying to tell us in this speech is that he planned to stop this, but he is dead, and he did not stop it, and he cannot stop it. And if the people of the world do not wake up to what's going on, we will reach a point very, very soon where we are enslaved. A year ago, it took 62 or 64 people to equal their wealth equaled half the wealth in the world. Today, it only takes 8. 1% own 99% of the wealth. And that's what you can find on the internet if you search. 1% owns 99% of the wealth. And I argue that it's actually far less than 1%. Because there's a lot of people that have money, and they're not counted in that. A lot of people that have a lot more money than those 8 people that make up the 8 that have half, for example. In fact, the Rothschilds family has far more money than what the world says even exists in the world. So there's a lot we do not know. And what can you do with that kind of money? You can control everything. So before the internet, what did they do? They put all the mom and pop businesses out of business. They made big department stores, big grocery stores, set their prices so low that they didn't make a profit, but they weren't in business to make a profit. They were in business to put everyone else out of business. And then the internet came along. And the internet put most of them out of business. So then they came to the internet, and they have now taken over the internet. So this idea that the average person can come online and make lots and lots of money, those days are gone. When I came on the internet 16 years ago, 20% of the millionaires that year came from the internet. That doesn't happen anymore. Although they'll let you believe that it happens, they'll put up, like videos that have millions of views and different stories so that you'll keep trying. Because if you understand you're not going to make money on the internet, you'll just leave for the most part. Unless you're one of those mindless zombies that, has to stay on Facebook all day long. So they have to create these stories. They have to create, for example, games that have millions of downloads. So everyone will try to make games and apps because it feeds the machine. That you can make a fortune posting on Facebook. That you can make a fortune posting on social networks, social media, all of that stuff. Because it feeds the machine. So, for at least 16 years, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one, I've been teaching this idea that the way that we can use this thing called the internet, which produces hundreds of billions of dollars a year in revenue through advertising, is by sharing the wealth with the people who actually create it. That the first company that did that would be huge, and that it would be bigger than anyone else. In fact, I did speeches saying that if a company did what Facebook is doing, only they shared their wealth, just 10% of their wealth, they would be the biggest company the world has ever seen. More people would use it than anything else, and it would make more money than anyone else. Just 10%. But Sue came along and did 90%. And I was right. Oh, was I right. In 5 weeks, they did what took Facebook 6 months to do. They were growing so fast. And if you think that any of these people behind these systems, behind this shadow system that operates in the background, are going to allow that to happen without a huge fight, you are mistaken. And Sue did not count on that, and Sue did not understand that. So 90% alone is way too much for a company to give up, because it costs money to run a social network. You must staff it. There's stuff that you must do. However, it didn't matter if they gave away 10%, because they did not know their enemy. And they did not know what they were up against. And they did not know how to fight them. So what happened to Sue? Sue was growing very, very fast. In fact, when it went dark, as some people will call it, it had over 5 million users. And people didn't even care about how much money they made on Sue. I can't tell you how many times I saw a post that says, I made a penny today, which is far more money than I made in 8 years on Facebook. They didn't care how much they made. They cared that they were being recognized and appreciated for their contribution to the system. And yeah, there was a lot of junk on there, but no more junk than what's on Facebook or any other social network. So they were having a lot of success, and then one day they went dark. They just disappeared. And even today, the internet is filled with rumors about what happened to Sue. And some people will say, I read one news article that they were paying too much out and it just wasn't worth it to keep it going. That's not what happened. What happened was, just like every other social network, every other app, game, whatever, they had a feature on their site to share on Facebook. Now, if you share content on another site, that site doesn't make any money unless it draws the people back to the site. So, for example, if you share something from Facebook onto Twitter, Facebook doesn't make any money unless it draws them back to Twitter. So what Facebook's claim was that Sue created a system that paid people to spam Facebook. Now, first off, there is no way to spam social media. The only people that see what you post are your friends, unless you post in a group, which you have to have permission to join. So there is no such thing as spam on social media. But that was Facebook's claim. And Facebook put out a lot of articles defending themselves and why they were doing this to Sue. And Sue wasn't asking for anything special. Sue just wanted to compete on an even playing field. Try to find an app that doesn't have a share feature to Facebook. Try to find a game. Try to find a website. Very few don't have a feature to share to Facebook. In fact, there are websites you can't even sign up with if you don't have a Facebook account. There's no option to sign up other than Facebook or Google Plus or both. So their claim that it was spam, when, as I said, there's no such thing as spam. Well, technically you could, send messages to people who were not members of, who were not your friends, by going and clicking on their name, clicking message, and then sending them something, but that is not how their system worked. All it did was allow you to share on your wall. It didn't even allow you to share in groups. It only allowed you to share on your wall, just like everyone else is allowed to do. But because they were such a threat to Facebook, because they were growing faster than Facebook was growing, they blocked them. They used their power to block them. And Sue made a fatal mistake. Rather than suing them, although in this situation they were right, that would have put them out of business. Had they sued, Facebook has enough money to keep them in court long enough so that they would have lost. They would have had to give up and they would have had to shut down. Now, Facebook didn't let any of us know that this battle was going on. And it was hidden from us because of the fact that the way the internet works, these companies control not just Facebook, Google, YouTube, they control what you see. So no one, even today, it's well over a year later, no one knows until now what actually happened to Sue. And I was able to find it. I was able to confirm what my sources were telling me, but I had to specifically know what the problem was in order to find it. If it wasn't for the information provided by the inside information that I got, I wouldn't have even been able to find information on it, because it's all hidden. So So what they decided to do was to attack them, to expose them through the media. Now, the media is not going to tell the truth. We all know this. But they will if you pay them. If you pay them, you can pretty much say whatever you want. Now, so he decided to pay to have the story put out. They decided to pay to have the story put out. But what they didn't know is that since they control what's being seen, it doesn't matter if you put it out there. For example, we have a similar model where we share our advertising revenue with our users. And we've been featured in the Huffington Post, the largest news outlet in the world, Entrepreneur Magazine, rave reviews on all major app sites. We got App of the Day on one. App of the Week or App of the Month. But we got it twice in a row, which has never ever happened. But the only way we knew those things is because the links were sent to us. Still today, if we put in the name, if we put in your web, I'll tell you so that you can look, your web base, it could be your web base app or just your web base, and Entrepreneur Magazine, for example, or Huffington Post, you will find nothing in Google about it. But that's how search engines are supposed to work. So see, they can hide it from you. We run all major television, all news outlets in the United States, everything. So you would think with all the publicity that we got, even though we didn't pay for it, that everyone would know our name. But they don't. Why? Because it can't be found. The information can't be found. The internet, websites, it's all a bunch of ones and zeros. And until you call it up by clicking on the right link, it doesn't form into the pictures, the words, and all of this stuff. It essentially doesn't exist. So while he paid to have this press put out there, hoping that it would spread the word, instead of going to his own members, which is what he should have done, he felt that it would be better to go to the press. And of course, he did have to pay for that press because they weren't about to expose this for free. So they did what they said, and nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. Ultimately, Facebook did see it, though. And ultimately, they won that battle, where Facebook allowed them, they basically forced Facebook to, because I'm sure Facebook had no idea how much money they actually had, or what they were capable of. But it reached the point where in Facebook's mind, it was not going to be worth it to keep the battle going. And they won. And like I said, most people don't even know that that battle occurred. I remember when we couldn't post on Facebook, when that feature wasn't there, and then it came back. And then Sue just went dark. And that is because in that battle, and because they paid out so much, it forced them out of business. It forced them into bankruptcy. And in the end, it didn't expose to the world what was really going on, because as I said, no one saw it. And this is what's happening in the world. The internet has become this money printing machine for the elites, with the labor of mankind driving it. So at this point, we're in negotiations discussing about buying Sue. the software. At this point, at the time of this video, I do not know if the software is even viable. The reason for that is that most software of that kind is encrypted, which means my programmers can't fix any bugs. They can't add to it. So in that case, it would essentially be worthless. While the bankruptcy is trying to sell it, those issues are there. So at this point, I do not know whether or not we will be able to buy it. I don't even know what they're interested in selling it for. I know that they've told me they think it's worth a lot of money. And I told them, well, yeah, but oftentimes it's cheaper just to start from scratch. It's not really that hard to make a social network. So those are bargaining things, convincing them that what they're trying to sell isn't worth as much as. And then, of course, another thing that I told them is, because they said they were going to advertise it, I said it's probably me and one other person on earth that would buy it. Now that I think about it, maybe 3, and that would be Facebook to destroy it. So, and the reason is because this idea of sharing wealth with the people is not something people do. I've been a consultant for 16 years, and I pushed that model on every single one of my clients, and not one of them has ever agreed that it's a good idea. Because people are greedy, and they don't, and that greed blinds them from the truth. That truth that Sue proved that using that model, it would grow faster and bigger than anything else before, and that is exactly what happened. So if you were a member of Sue, what did you lose? What did you lose? The members of Sue owned 90% of the company. Not 90% of the debt and bills or anything like that. 90% of the profits. With none of the risks carried by an investor. And what does that mean over time? You're talking about 2.3% of Facebook was worth billions of dollars in 9 years. 2.3%. Imagine if you had 2.3%, if Facebook and Sue reached an equal point, and you own, and 2.3% of those people were in your network. Well, it would essentially mean you owned 2.3% of Sue, less 10%, but technically not even 10%, because as I said, it's 10% of the revenue, not profits. So if you got, and how would that happen? Well, it happens the same way as it happens on Facebook, except Facebook doesn't pay you, so nobody knows this and nobody understands this. If you invited 10 friends to Sue, and they invited 10 friends to Sue, and they invited 10 friends to Sue, on just 7 levels, that's 11 million people. If you made just 1 penny a day, 1 penny a year, 1 penny a year off of those people. Mind you, in the United States, Facebook is currently making $45 a year. We're going to draw it way back. See, Sue could put more advertising than Facebook can, because if people aren't getting anything out of the advertising, advertising makes them mad. When they're getting something out of advertising, they don't care. You can dump it on them. And we've proven that. We've tested that theory very well. So they're making 45, and I'm saying if you just made 1 cent per year, if you got 10 friends, and they got 10 friends, and they got 10 friends, we're talking about 11 million people. At 1 cent per year, that's $110,000 a year. That's what you lost. But many of the founding members got more than 10 people. So imagine if it had continued at the same rate of growth, well, actually it would have increased to today. How much you would have made. Because actually the way things grow is they actually speed up in growth. And the same thing happened with Facebook or anybody else. They speed up in growth. But eventually, regardless, you would have reached a point, because as I said, in 9 years, 2.3% turned into billions of dollars for the person who owned 2.3% of Facebook. Billions of dollars. So, do you see how much money you've lost? And the fact is that Sue would have grown much more than Facebook. It would have grown much bigger than Facebook. Because people would have had a reason to use it, and they don't really have a reason to use Facebook. People do, but why doesn't everyone use it? Because they don't have a reason to. And as more and more people are waking up, they're realizing they have less of a reason to. There's still people brainwashed into believing like it's a great way to build my business. It's a great way to advertise my business, not knowing that 3 years ago Facebook changed the rules, and now whenever you post something, only 10% of your friends or followers even see it. And then the next time you post something, it's a different 10%. And the only way you're going to see it is to actually go to their page, and who does that? It was all bait and switch to get you to build the company for them, so that they could make billions and billions of dollars and put it into their pockets. And with that kind of money, they have grown to the point, not just them, Facebook, Google, Amazon, the owners of those companies are 3 of the 8 of the people who own half the money in the world. And with that money, they can silence everyone else. And all the laws that they're trying to pass to silence everyone else. So we do intend, God willing, to try to purchase Sue. And we will let you know what happens. I will post a link in the video description of this, because no, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe to this channel. Because I know, like many others, if I post videos, you're not going to see them. And the videos that you do see won't even register that you've seen them most of the time. And the likes that you make won't go up most of the time, and the comments you make will never come through. So I'm going to post a link to another platform that does the same thing as Sue. It's not a social network, but it does share its revenue as well. But it is outside of this system, which means if I post something to you, I know you'll get it, and I know you'll see it. So I will post the link in the description of this video. And like I said, I don't care if you like this video or you comment on this video or you subscribe to this channel, because I know that doesn't matter. But if you want to follow what's going on and you want to be involved, if you are a member, be involved in the class action lawsuit that we are working on. If you want to follow what ultimately ends up happening, do we get Sue back online or do we start another one? Then I suggest that you follow that link and join us there. Things are getting worse and worse and worse around the world. And there are other companies out there that are trying to do what Sue is trying to do. And what we do is we bring those companies into light so they don't get hidden and they don't go the way of Sue. And through that, we can change the world. We can divert the wealth from the slave masters back in the hands of the people, and there is nothing that they can do about it. They can't kill all of us. And now don't freak out. I'm not saying you're going to get killed if you join these. I meant like they can't take down all of the companies. Eventually, people will get fed up. And that's what they're counting on. That's what they're counting on. People build these companies up and then they take them down. They build them up and they take them down. So people sort of get this aversion to it. No, I did that and then it failed. You know, people think that Sue failed because people didn't like what Sue was. And that's not true at all. The opposite is true. People loved what it was. And the powers that be did not like that. So, by using our app, we place these companies into the app with one database, which means that if one of them fails, you don't lose the others. And if a new one starts, you don't have to start over building it. One database for any company that comes out with this model. Meaning, if XYZ company starts tomorrow and you have a downline in your web base, they will instantly join you in that one. It means that companies that would take years to join in the future, years to build and become well known in the future, can become well known overnight. Now, don't you think there's a price tag on my head? But I don't fear anyone but God. And I know that if we do not come together and stand up and fight this, that there is no future for us or our children or our grandchildren. Because the things that President Kennedy was speaking about are here, right now, loud and in your face. And it is so deep and so dark and expands into levels that you can't even imagine. If that's the way that it was in this black and white video, color's been around a long time. And they went unchecked for all of these years. And it's gotten bad. And it's getting worse. So you can stand around with your head in the sand and do nothing. Or you can go out and share this information. And I'm not talking about, oh, I shared it on Twitter or I shared it on Facebook. That don't do any good. You need to share it people to people like a virus. Directly with people you know. Don't rely on social media, because social media doesn't share anything that they don't want you to share. In fact, what they did to Sue was they blocked Sue completely. They even went into their archives and removed any traces of Sue. Any post that anyone had ever made, they removed them. And Facebook said, and Sue said, no, this isn't right. This isn't fair. Everyone else can do it. And as I said, it isn't spam. That is not spam. You cannot spam on social media because anyone can unblock a friend. If you don't like what someone's posting, you just block them. Sorry, I meant unfriend a friend. But see, the rules are different for these elite companies. So let me show you something here. So Facebook's big battle, what ended up destroying Sue and our future, was that it was spam. So I put this here because I had to remove my email address and some other, private information from my email off to the side where you can see it's in white. This right here is spam. And this company is owned by Facebook. Look it up, Workplace. And if you don't believe that, when I scrolled over the word subscribe, this came up. And do you see the domain name? It is facebook.com. Do you see this right here? Lion. Lion is what you put on a LinkedIn account to let other people know that if they send you a request to join you, that you will accept it. Now, I haven't used LinkedIn in over 3 years. And I didn't because they did the same type of things that Facebook was doing. Now, it's illegal for them to go out and harvest, whether they use a bot to scrape LinkedIn's contacts or they actually get them from LinkedIn. Well, even if they pay for them, it's illegal for them to then mail them. The only way they can do that is to actually buy them, and even then, it's still very, very shaky. So, do you see my name? My name has the only place that this exists online is on LinkedIn. The program that I haven't used in 3 years. I wouldn't know how to log into it if I want to, but I know where that came from. So Facebook has signed me up, see, right here. This group now uses Workplace for company announcements and collaboration. Get started today and see what your coworkers are saying. Now, this was sent by Facebook. See right here, Facebook Inc. See, the reason I when I did the screenshot, I put the mouse over that so you could show that is because, sometimes they fake that stuff. They might say that it's from Facebook, but it really isn't. And that's how you tell it if it's really from Facebook, is you put your mouse over the link and then it'll pop up where it's actually coming from. So Facebook is spamming me. And I actually got a whole bunch of emails from them. And they actually signed me up for Workplace without my permission. Now, PayPal did that once and got hit with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for it. But see, these companies do these things, and even if they get hit with fines, they still got plenty of money that it doesn't matter. And what they'll get in return is worth it to them. They can afford to take $1 million hit. Google just got hit with a $2.7 billion fine, the largest fine in history by the EU for basically doing to others what Facebook did to Sue. Same basic kind of thing. Basically hiding them so that other people could only see them. So hiding Sue so that people could only see Facebook kind of thing. Google was doing that with their shopping sites. And they don't just do it there. They do it all over the place. All of these large companies do. So it's okay for them to spam. It's okay for them to violate every single law out there, and no one does anything about it. It's okay for them to listen in on your phone, even if you do not have if you're not on a phone call. Even if you don't have the app open or logged in on your computer or your phone, they can still listen to everything that you're saying. Now, that's illegal for me to do it. It's illegal for me. I don't want to do it, but I'm just saying it's illegal for me to do it, and I'll go to jail. But Facebook does it, and they do it openly. I mean, they don't do it openly. Most people don't know that. But it has been revealed, and it is true. And if you read the terms and conditions and all that other BS, you'll find out that they do it. But no one stops them. The governments of our countries that are supposed to protect us do not protect them. Do not protect us. And that's what it means when you talk about deep state and shadow governments. It means that the people with the money are the ones that actually control the government. And that if the people that are in the government, the people that are elected, don't do what they want, first they'll try to bribe them. If that doesn't work, they'll try to blackmail them. And if that doesn't work, and just as in Kennedy's speech, this is what we're talking about. Just like he said in his speech, silenced. And if they can't blackmail the person, they will blackmail the loved ones. If you haven't seen the movie Snowden, I really recommend that you do. It basically exposes exactly how they do that. Because so many people are of the ilk that, oh, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't care if they spy on me. You don't have to be doing anything wrong. When they're going to blackmail someone else, and they can't blackmail that person, and they won't take a bribe, the next step is to blackmail somebody that they love. Really watch the movie and look at how that search engine works. And that's not a conspiracy, or that's facts. It's real. So, is there anything that we can do about this? Is there anything that we can do to stop this? You know, because I'm really tired of people, you know, making these videos and stuff like that going about this stuff and then going, follow me on Facebook. What? What are you talking about? Why would you tell people to, it's like, okay, we're getting eaten by lions here. Quick, into the lion's den. How can we stop them? By having the companies that are working to do this come together and fight together. And the people to join all of them together. Because the people are stronger. If you stop using these companies on the internet, they die. The way that they've been killing everyone else, they die the same exact way. Because their sites are exactly the same way. Ones and zeros that don't exist unless someone calls up the address. So you leave them, and you don't use them, and you use others who are trying to do good, who are trying to share their wealth. Why on earth would anyone use Facebook when Sue existed? Why would anybody use it? That's ludicrous. Oh, all my friends are there. Okay, well, tell all your friends to go join you over there. Because if they really want to talk to you, and they really want to follow you, and they really want to communicate with you, they will. And if they don't, then they really don't, do they? Time to wake up from the dream and see what's really going on in the world. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Please share it with people, and I don't mean on Facebook or any other social media, because like I said, they're not going to see it. But actually share this with people. Get them to wake up. Because you can know the time of standing around with your head in the sand is over. Things are getting very, very, very bad. Orwellian to the nines. People have been warning us about this for decades, and people don't want to listen. And it's getting to the point where it's about to be too late if we don't do something now. Have a great day.